Well, good morning, afternoon, or evening, ladies and gentlemen. Allincrypto here, and welcome back, guys, for another daily cryptocurrency market update. If you are new around here, every single day at 1 p.m. UK time, we release an update just like this one to help you guys stay up to date with the latest and greatest things happening within the crypto space and also the broader markets. And that's exactly what we're going to be doing on this happy Monday. And just to kick things off straight off the bat, a lot obviously has happened over the weekend geopolitically with what's happening in Israel. And I am definitely not qualified to talk on that matter and the kind of geopolitical risks that may arise from it, but they are evident and likely that there is going to be geopolitical repercussions for everything. And I hate to relate what's happening over there with the markets because it kind of trivializes what is a very real and devastating situation for many involved on both sides. But if you look at how the markets are going to interpret things like this, you know, it re-enters an element of uncertainty. And of course, the primary market that's likely going to be affected by this, of course, is going to be the dollar and the commodities. And we're actually seeing oil, which had a bit of a pullback, really gained strength on the back end of all of this, and a lot of the other commodities, and of course, the likes of the dollar, as it is really a safety trade. And actually, the dollar is an alternative to the markets right now because it's offering you 5%, essentially risk-free, unless you think the US is going to default on all their debt, and now is the time that we enter a kind of global reset, but I don't happen to think it's here right now. But so we've got a lot to cover. We are going to be looking at the Bitcoin price chart. Bitcoin's having a bit of a bad day today, along with a lot of the futures markets. We're yet to see the US market open. And again, this is, I believe, due to what we've just spoken about and that uncertainty being brought back into the market. And the last thing I really want to say on that is, of course, thoughts and prayers out to the people that are involved. But what we're going to be doing is we're going to be looking at the Bitcoin chart. We're going to be looking at some really interesting things in regards to the products that Greyscale offer because they're all doing really well right now, certainly GBTC, which is a kind of, who would buy Greyscale's projects? Well, it's likely going to be players of an institutional grade that perhaps legally can't own spot crypto and have to go through regulated vehicles in order to gain access to it. And actually you see Greyscale's Link Trust doing very well. You see the X Ethereum Trust doing very well. And of course, you see the GBTC and their Ethereum actually look like quite strong and healthy charts. And then we're going to also be looking at, so is that suggesting an institutional kind of interest in the crypto space at the moment? Potentially. And then we're going to be looking at CoinShare's digital asset funds, some sort of data. We'll also be looking at the fact that the Ethereum Foundation sold 17,000 or 1,700 Ethereum, I should say. And is that a sign of where we're currently at? So we've got a lot to get into, as always. Let's kick things off with the Bitcoin chart. And you guys know that we absolutely do believe that we are in a crypto spring, okay? Altcoins are a little bit more reluctant to wake up after the kind of winter that we've gone through. But Bitcoin is very much leading the charge, as it always does. And we are ultimately very bullish despite all the headlines and everything going on the environment that we're in regards to the fact that we think rates, which are the primary driver of things, lag in terms of their actual real effects and the filter through to the economy. And historically, we've looked at the fact that actually during this environment, something like the equity market, which we know crypto is correlated to, does quite well. We had an Elliotician come on the show last week, well worth a watch. We released that on Saturday, and it was really nice to get a different technical perspective on the markets, and certainly one that very much aligns with ours. So we do think the crypto spring is here. Altcoins, it has been a bit of a bumpy ride. I'm going to take my drawers off just in case I've got anything on here that I shouldn't have. You know, altcoins, it's been a bit of a bumpy ride. One thing I was looking at with my community was others' market cap dominance. And actually, there's a lot of interesting things going on here. And if altcoin market cap dominance does well, that means the altcoins, excluding Bitcoin and Ethereum, do well, which typically doesn't happen in a time of negative market news. And actually would suggest not only Bitcoin doing well, but altcoins actually having a season, which would coincide with Bitcoin's sort of next leg to the upside, which I don't think you're too far off of. Right now, we're really just analyzing, you know, we're still caught in a range. There's no getting away from this. Just to draw it very quickly. And we don't like to draw in red, but hey ho, here the red is. So you're very much caught in this range, caught between heaven and hell. I don't really think so. You're in some sort of a corrective phase. And the real question is, where does this come to? Is this about to play out, which is going to give you a head and shoulders target of round about here, round about this low. So are we going to take this path first before then continuing to the upside? Or are we going to turn around? And the real question is, well, are you going to take here or are you going to take here? So are you going to fall below and complete that head and shoulders pattern around about 25K? Or are you going to actually come to the upside? And the big, of course, one to take is going to be this 30K. If you do that, you are going to slip through what is a very thin, just to show people this, because I say stuff and people always think that I've got some sort of nefarious reason to say it. You've got very thin volume here that we think you'll slip through. We've got maybe a bull flag target and, of course, the inverse head and shoulders target to the upside. So we're bullish, okay, despite the sort of day that the markets are having. And actually, if you look at Bitcoin on a weekly and we get rid of the draws that we've got, we still think that this is basically support being adhered to. Support and resistance flip that you're likely going to bounce off of, unless, of course, you break that level. And actually, if we look at how the stock market closed on Friday, it was looking very promising. We've got higher targets for the stock market. We had a lot of stocks that actually hit target. Stock market's looking like it wants to enter or open up negatively thus far, but we'll see what the actual results are. But the stock market actually doesn't look too badly, does it? Where it's kind of pivoted, is this that pullback over? Are you going to get that turning for the markets? We have assessed that. Of course, today with all the uncertainty, crypto market's down a little bit, but it can still raise its head. And of course, the dollar, which closed on Friday, if we ignore this candle, let's just get rid of it. No, I'm joking. We've gone a bit too far back there. Let's get the dollar actually looked like it was hammering out and the inverse was happening on risk. So we could have seen quite a good time for the markets, and we still can, but we'll see how they progress today. So short term, still a little bit uncertain based on the range that Bitcoin's in. Mid to long term, up into a recession, we think the market's actually going to do well. You can have a full bull run play out by that time. Let's just cover the equity market very quickly. Let's get rid of this. I actually looked at this yesterday with my group. If you guys want to join and become a Patreon, please do consider checking the link out in the description. But yesterday in the weekly meeting, I actually said, look, we do stage analysis, something that we think is a very good investor guide to technically looking at the markets. And we said, this is very typical. Retest of support into a break, and this could continue to the upside. And oil typically has been a barometer of the economy. However, at the moment, it's inflation. It's kind of like there's a lot of double-edged swords in regards to economic data, which you're going to get a lot of this week. So that's the markets moving forwards. This week, I should probably cover and get this out of the way before we start looking at CoinShare's and Greyscale's trust. You've got a lot of data. You've got Fed speakers. Tomorrow, I think you've got not a lot in the United States, but you've got some news coming out for GDP. I think you've got PPIs on Wednesday, 10-year bond auctions, FOMC meeting, core PPIs. Actually expected to come out slightly lower, so a bit of deflation in that area. And then on Thursday, you've got the likes of CPI, so on and so forth. The real thing is going to be UK GDP, which I think is going to come out better than expected. The real question is going to be, how is this all going to affect forward guidance for rates and the Fed? And that's likely up until that date to cause a bit of volatility to add to the uncertainty that we're already getting off of the back end of the weekend of bad news from that sort of geopolitical standpoint. So it's going to be an interesting week to sort of summarize. We will keep you up to date on the channel. To move on to what we've been looking at, this is one of the first weeks, the first week, that we've actually seen an inflow into CoinShare's trust fund, I should probably say. Digital asset investment products saw inflows last week for the first time in 6 weeks, totaling $21 million. We believe that inflows are a reaction to a combination of positive price momentum, fear over US debt prices, and the recent quagmire over government funding. Solana continues to shine with inflows of 5 million, so nearly a quarter of the overall inflows, marking its 27th week of inflows and just 4 weeks of outflows. Solana, I'm going to take the draws off because I know I've got draws. Well, I can probably show the draws on Solana, actually. It looks bloody strong. You know, this is what we were looking at. We were spot on in regards to positioning for Solana on the short term and really tracking this falling wedge into support. But Solana actually looks good. Solana, if you compare this with other crypto charts, this is one of the stronger crypto charts, and it's showing you strength, which is what you want to see. Although that's a bit of that strength could come from the exhaustion that obviously happened with FTX and everything that transpired there. So who's using CoinShare's? Again, it's probably not your everyday investor. It's probably more of an institutional appetite. If we now look at Greyscale's trust, the Ethereum trust first, you can see actually this chart doesn't look too bad. And have we got a draw on here? No, we don't. Perfect. You're consolidating right around support. This looks like it's about to enter a stage 2 breakout and start an uptrend. That's quite a positive sign. Remember, this is traditionally an institutional instrument. It looks certainly better than the actual Ethereum chart itself. If we now move on to the Chainlink Trust, this is trading. We've been highlighting Chainlink a lot recently at 30% above premium. So none of these trusts are actually pegged to the spot price. That's why Greyscale are currently, and you've still got the discounts at loggerheads with the SEC because they want a spot ETF that will literally move with the price. At the moment, they're kind of floating mechanisms that the market dictates. And actually, this is 30% above, which suggests an institutional appetite to me. Premium. The next one that I want us to look at, so we looked at Ethereum. This is Grayscale's large cap fund. This does not look too bad at all either. And actually, we need to move this off of red or pink. Make this a little bit smaller. You know, are you looking at something playing out here? There's a lot of markets that are giving us confluence to short term, a little bit of chop into mid to longer term upside. You know, just to give us a rough target of this. And actually, we've got confluence with crypto stocks and a number of other things. So you've got Grayscale's trust picking up, which is typically going to be an institutional instrument. And you've got CoinShare's, you know, starting to see inflows, certainly in Solana. There's a lot of charts that are giving me confluence, smaller cap altcoins, mining stocks, crypto-related stocks, you know, things like Robinhood that all look like they might be on the turn. And actually, we expect markets to do quite well in this environment. And you're going to say, well, how can that be? Well, you know, I know it seems illogical. But again, this laggard effect with rates is really what's driving us on the macro. So that's all very interesting. And then, of course, we have Bitcoin had its most coins, over 10,000 Bitcoin, moving off exchanges since September the 7th. And crypto's top market cap assets in making a second run at crossing a 28,000 market value. Utility will be important here as unique addresses have fallen to 6% lows. To finish off on a little bit of Ethereum news, the Ethereum Foundation has just sold 1,700 Ethereum for $2.76 million USDT. And you can see the transaction here. Vitalik's actually been a good, you know, he's obviously been brought up in the whole XRP case where he said he basically sold on behalf of the Ethereum Foundation at 2017's high. You know, this is quite a common thing. You know, this is the thing with the bear market is it's very easy for sell pressure to outweigh buying pressure. And the reason being is because you have foundation and projects that have been funded with their native tokens continuing to dump. And there's a number of projects that I won't mention that I know have been doing that aggressively during this bear market. So we'll see. To summarize everything, we do think that crypto is on the turn. There's a lot of uncertainty with the markets. Again, our thoughts and prayers go out to the people who are affected by all of this going on in the Middle East. The Middle East is has a long history of things, and I find it very cringy, although I'm not going to speak directly on the matter, that people are giving their takes on this when they literally are only informed on actually what's going on by media outlets that have been proven to be lies time and time again. And I'm going to leave that there. I think it's an awful situation. And again, thoughts and prayers are really going out to the people that are affected. And again, hate to trivialize this by talking about it in the markets, what is a very real situation. But the markets right now, there's an overlap there. that we absolutely have to address, and that is what is likely going to happen with commodities. Oil very strong out the gate, all your commodities strong out the gate. You know, one thing I was looking at actually was live cattle. And guys, subscribe to this channel because I guarantee there's no other crypto channels out there showing you markets like this and looking at things like live cattle. We've rambled on for long enough. I still, believe it or not, actually think that crypto could have a green day today. We'll just see how the US markets open up and what things are looking like later on today. On that note, I'm going to love and leave you. If you've enjoyed the content, like us, appreciate it, so as a comment, and we'll catch you all in the next one. Thanks for watching, guys. See you in the next.